Hello everyone. Let's improvise scores.py by introducing dictionary. I'm going to define a global variable called scores and I'll initialize that to a dictionary by typing in open curly braces, close curly braces. Whenever you include dictionary as part of your program, it will be helpful for you to type a comment above the dictionary definition line stating the key and the value that will be stored within the dictionary. I'm going to use player name as key and player score as value within the scores dictionary. Let me include two key value pairs to keep track of the scores for players Alice and Bob. I can do that by typing string Bob, then a colon followed by which I'll type a 0. This is a single key value pair. The key here is string Bob, which is the name of the player. The value here is integer 0, which is the score of the player. Observe that I'm separating the key and the value using a colon. If I want to include one more key value pair, I'll have to type in a comma and then I'll have to say string Alice, then colon 0. You can have any number of spaces before and after the colon. Python doesn't really mind that. Now I can get rid of all of the individual player variables at the beginning of the program. Once I do that, I'm going to update the global declaration statement inside the main function definition to declare scores variable with a global scope. Let's go through the changes for this big conditional, which is dealing with various user input commands. We don't have to make any changes for the commands queue and help branches. That's because those commands have nothing to do with player score. Let's go through the changes for the set command elif branch. Within this branch, we have the name of the player stored in the variable name and the new score for the player within the variable score. Recall that these are coming from user input. We split the user input using space and save the list of strings into the variable cmd. Since we have the name of the player and the new score, it's going to be straightforward for us to both update the value for an existing player and insert a new player score within the dictionary. The syntax is exactly same for the both. We are going to type in the dictionary variable, then within square brackets we are going to mention what is the key, then we'll have to type in equal to the value. The key here is the name of the player, which is stored inside the variable name. The value here is going to be the player score, which is going to be stored inside the variable score. We no longer have to use a separate case for unknown players because this syntax enables us to insert new key value pair into the dictionary. I can get rid of this entire nested conditional and I'm going to replace that with a print function call to display the dictionary scores. Let's save the current version of the program and I'm going to go ahead and run it, quickly rearranging the output window here. The first input command that I want to try is set alice 10. Observe that updated the value corresponding to the key alice to 10. Bob key still has a value of 0. The dictionary that is being displayed here has the same order as the insertion order that we used when we defined the dictionary. We added the Bob key first, so the Bob key gets displayed first. Then we added the Alice key, so the Alice key gets displayed next. Because we have Python version 3.8.5, insertion based ordering is guaranteed for us. Let me type in the command as set bob 10. That's going to now update bob value against the key bob to a value of 10. If I type in set mina 20, that's going to add a new key value pair for the player mina and add the value as the score 20 here. Let me go ahead and quit the current version execution. Let's go through the changes for the get command. Get command changes are going to be pretty straightforward. We are going to perform lookup of a score given the name of the player. We already know how to do that because we use that as part of the set command. I'm simply going to call the print function to display scores of name here. I can get rid of this nested if, and I'm going to save the current version of the program after removing the print function call that displays the scores dictionary from the set command. Let me click on run module and we are going to go through same set of commands. I'm going to say set Alice 10, set Bob 10. Let me set Mina's score to 20. Then I'm going to say get space Mina. That will retrieve Mina's score as 20. What will be the score if I type get space Bob? That's going to be 10. What do you think will happen if I type get space Jeff? The program is going to crash. Even though dictionaries are flexible, you cannot obtain a value that does not exist. The player name Jeff is not included as part of the dictionary definition. You did not insert the new key value pair where you have key as the player Jeff. So you cannot access the value of a non-existent key. You'll have to handle that inside the elif branch, which is dealing with the get command here. I'm going to introduce you to the in operator for dictionaries. Recall that in operator for a list enables you to look up whether a specific value is part of a given list. The in operator for a dictionary works very differently. The in operator for a dictionary enables you to look up whether a specific key is defined as part of the dictionary. You can use that by typing in an if condition here. I'm going to say if the player name in the scores dictionary, then I'm going to complete the if condition. Let me tab space the print function call that's going to display the scores of name here. If there is a key which is stored inside the variable name here, defined within the dictionary variable scores, then we can retrieve a value corresponding to that particular key. So we are going to go ahead and display that particular value corresponding to the player name. If the key does not exist, I'm going to deal with that using an else branch, and I'm simply going to type unknown name as part of the print function call within the else branch here. Let me go ahead and save the program. Let's run it one more time to go through the same set of commands. I'm going to say set Alice 10, set Bob 10, set Mina 20. Then I'm going to type get Mina. That's going to retrieve 20. If I say get Bob, that's going to retrieve 10. If I say get space Jeff, that's going to say unknown name here. Let me go ahead and quit the current execution. Let's go through the changes for the high command. The high command is a little bit tricky for us to deal with. That's because we'll have to write a for loop to iterate over every key value pair in the dictionary and verify which particular player has the highest score. The for loop for a dictionary is going to behave differently when compared to the for loop for a list. Recall that when you write a basic for loop to go through the values for a list, you're going to extract each value at each index position as part of one iteration of your for loop. When you write a similar for loop for a dictionary, you're going to get the key corresponding to the key value pair. So if I say for some variable in dictionary variable which is scores, this sum variable is going to store every key from the key value pair. Since we are getting key here, I'm going to type in the variable name as player. Let me get rid of the nested if here. And for now, I'm just going to display player, which is the key in our dictionary, and the corresponding value. How can you obtain the value? You can simply use the lookup operation and say scores of player. Let's save the current version of the program. Let's try to run the program. I'm going to type the commands in as set Alice 10, set Bob 10, set Mina 20. I'm going to rerun the set Bob 10 command. Observe that the set keyword didn't change to purple here. Because of that, I think I was too quick to type that input command. Let's type the hi command. That's now going to iterate over every key within the dictionary. The dictionary iteration is going to once again follow insertion based ordering. That's why you're getting Bob first, Alice next, and Meena third. And the corresponding score values are 10, 10, and 20 here. Let me go ahead and quit the current execution. We are going to go through the design pattern that's going to enable us to find the best player score here. Recall that we have been using the design pattern for loops as part of the multiple demos for previous lecture. I'm going to follow the same design pattern here. I'll be defining a variable called best underscore player outside my for loop. I'll be initializing that to a value of none. Inside my for loop, I'm going to type my if condition as best underscore player equal to none, or some search condition. What should the search condition here be? We want to compare the current player's score with the previously known best player. I'm simply going to do that by typing in scores of player greater than scores of best underscore player. If the current player score is greater than the previously known best player score, then we simply want to update best underscore player with the current player, correct? Let me display the best underscore player variable after this particular for loop here. Be very careful with the indentation level. The print function call should be at the same level of indentation as the for keyword here. Otherwise, you're not going to get the print function call after the for loop. Instead, it's going to execute for every iteration of the for loop if you tab indent that in. I'm going to save the current version of the program. Then I'm going to run the same commands as we went through during the previous execution of the program. I'm going to type in set Alice 10, set Bob 10, set Meena 20. Then I'm going to type in hi command here. Observe that we are getting the winner as Meena. What if I set Bob's score to 20 and then try hi command? Observe that Bob became the winner now. That's because we did not deal with handling tie within our hi command elif condition here, right? Let's take care of that. Whenever you have to go through your data set to determine a specific best value about some particular aspect and also determine all the data entries which have that particular best value, you will always have to do two passes. What do I mean by two passes? Pass 1 is going to be this first for loop here, which is finding the best score for the player. Whenever you want to find best of something, you'll be doing the initial pass to go over every data entry. You can only determine the best possible value after having gone through all of the data entry. While you're doing the data entry lookup for finding the best value, you don't want to keep track of all the possible data entries which have had the best values so far. Instead, you're going to go through another pass for determining all the players which have the best score. So I'm going to type in pass to comment here as find all players with the best score. what is the best score? That is the best score that we found as part of the pass one for loop here. I'm going to type in another for loop. Let me say for player in scores. What do I want to do within the second for loop? I want to compare the current player score, which is given within the lookup scores of player, with the best player score using the double equal to comparison. So I'm going to say equal to scores of best underscore player. If the scores are equal, then we need to keep track of all such players, correct? Notice that I'm using the word all here. Since we are dealing with multiple values, we are going to use a data structure to store it. A list data structure would be really appropriate here. So I'm going to define a variable called winners, and I'll initialize that to an empty list data structure by typing in open square bracket, close square bracket. Within my if condition here, I'm simply going to append the current player, which is given within the variable player, into the winners list. Recall that you'll have to use the append method to insert a new value into a list. After going through this particular for loop, I'm simply going to use the print function call to display the winners list. Let me go ahead and save the current version of the program. I'm going to try to run the program by going through similar commands. I'm going to say set Alice 10, set Bob 10. If I try the high command, that's going to give me a list which contains the values as Bob and Alice here. How can we take this list and convert that into a neatly formatted string? Recall that you can use join method call to join a list of strings together using a separator. Before doing that, I'm going to take care of the case when we have exactly one winner. We can very easily do that by checking length of the winners list by saying if len of winners equal to 1, then I simply want to display only winner is, and I'm going to extract the value at index position 0 by saying winners of 0. In the else case where we have multiple winners, I'm going to use comma in order to join those winners together. Recall that the syntax for join method call is separator string, which is comma here. Let me add in a space after that, and then I'll have to type dot join. Within the parenthesis, I need to pass the list of string variable as argument here, which is going to be winners. Let me capture this value into a variable called type. Join method call always returns string type. Finally, I'm going to use print function call to display that we have tie for win between these players, and I'm going to type the variable tie. Let me go ahead and run the updated version of the program. I'm going to type the commands as set Alice 10, set Bob 10, set Mina 20, set Vn 30. If I try high command now, it's going to display only winner is Vn. Let me change Mina's score to 30. Let's try the high command again. Observe that we are now getting tie for win between Mina and Vn. I'm going to set Alice score to 30 and also set Bob's score to 30. If we try the high command now, that's going to display all four players as winners. We'll wrap up this demo with everyone as a winner. I'll wrap up today's lecture here. There are additional demo problems for you to go through if you're interested. Please go through those if time permits and if you want to challenge yourself.